The biggest sin about Sinners is they spoiled a lot of things in the trailer that should have been kept a secret in the movie. Sinners is Ryan Coogler's first original film and a jump in genre from what we normally see him do, which is mostly action and superhero movies. So how did he do taking on a blend of a period piece but also vampire horror? There's a lot to love about this film, but there are also some things that I think they could have done better. The story follows twin brothers Smoke and Stack, played by MichaelBJordan, as they are trying to buy a juke joint from this super racist landowner. They get everyone around town to help them out to prepare to open for the night. On top of that, we are introduced to Remick, who's a vampire passing through town. Which leads us to our major conflict in the film when Remick tries to get into the juke joint, but they won't let him in, turning the night from fun times and great music to a bloodbath. I was actually surprised with how much music and singing was in this movie that it almost felt like a musical at some points. The cinematography looks wonderful in a lot of scenes. MichaelBJordan does a fantastic job at playing two characters who have distinct, different personalities. Jack O'Connell also does a good job at playing Remick, who makes him very sinister but also kinda sympathetic. Haley Steinfeld also does a good job as her character, but I really wish we got more from her, and it was honestly a big letdown that she never got to sing in the movie because she has a wonderful singing voice. The movie does take a while to get to the horrors part, setting up who Smoke and Stack and their cousin Sammy is, so if you were going into this movie really wanting a lot of horror and action, then you'll be disappointed, but I was perfectly fine with the build-up. The music in this movie was fantastic and I love the blues, so all of that in this movie was really great, and also the scene with the Irish jig was also really good. That being said, I do have some problems with this film, and mostly from a horror standpoint. So if you don't want to be spoiled, skip to the very end of this video to see my rating of the film. Otherwise, you have been warned. Like I said, the trailer ruins any mystery in the film, and it would have been nice to keep a secret that Stack and Mary turn into vampires. These are also very classic vampires and all their normal things apply to them, but that is where this movie kind of writes itself into a corner, funny enough. The whole having to be invited inside gets brought up so much in this film that it almost becomes a joke. It gets to a point where the vampires literally can't do anything other than wait outside or have them slip up. Which brings us to this super frustrating scene where Grace yells, "Come inside," and really annoyed me. Like, I understand the reason why she did it, but I think they could have done a better job with the vampires getting in a different way. On top of that, there are two scenes where Mary and Stack were already in the juke joint as vampires, but for some reason just run out the door for literally no reason. They could have easily have killed pretty much everybody in the juke joint because they weren't already prepared. So it makes little to no reason why they ran out when Remick was outside and they could have just let him in. These vampires are also pretty weak, and they get defeated pretty easily after the whole gang gets geared up. There's also a weird scene where Smoke kind of warps behind Remick and kills him with a stake, and somehow he gets past every single vampire unnoticed to do it. The action also felt very rushed in some scenes, like the doors open and that was the majority of the action, and it felt very bunched up and just not really that cool. And last is the scene that I'm really not the biggest fan of, but everyone seems to be loving, is the scene where Sammy is playing his music and future inspired music starts popping up everywhere around the juke joint, and I just think this scene could have been done a lot better. Like, I get what they were going for and I totally understand it, but seeing a person twerk in the kitchen was just super corny as hell. Besides that, Miles Canton's singing was fantastic though. In all, Sinners is a good vampire film with a good story, great characters, and some pretty decent action. That's why I give Sinners an 8.5 out of 10. If you guys like this review, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more, hit that follow button, and as always, thanks for watching.